Hey everyone, I'm going to join the cacophony of YouTube videos talking about credit cards and reviewing credit cards by going over the Amex Platinum Edge credit card, which I've had for a few years now, so I've got some experience with the positives, the negatives, and the like, and I'll give you my thoughts about whether or not it might be a good option. Now, before we get there, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. If you need professional help, get that professional help. And I'm not encouraging to go out and spend to take on any credit at all. You have to make your own decision and be financially prudent. Basically, don't blame me if you spend too much money and then end up bankrupt, is what I'm saying. So, with that in mind, let's go over the Platinum Edge credit card, the pluses, the minuses, and the costs associated with it. Now, like I said, I've had one for quite a number of years. This is in fact an expired card, but I've taped over everything just in case anyway, so it looks like a normal card. The only maybe distinguishing feature is this line down the side, which distinguishes it as a Platinum Edge credit card. That's pretty much it. It's made out of plastic, it has a chip in it, it can be used for PayPass, all of that ordinary related stuff. It's only available in Australia, but there are equivalents in other countries, and this is kind of an entry-level Platinum type card that Amex offers, and they offer various different iterations of this across different countries. Now, in terms of eligibility, you need to be earning $50,000 or more in order to be eligible for it. This contrasts with the Platinum card per se, where you have to be earning $100,000 or more to be eligible for it. So it has an easier entry requirement to get there. Obviously, they're going to do a good degree of credit checking on you. So if you have terrible credit, you're probably not going to get any of the cards through Amex anyway. So that's going to be something that might be a barrier depending on your background there. I.e., if you've sent a company insolvent, that might be an issue for you. In any case, those are the basic eligibility requirements. In terms of the membership fee, it's $195 a year. This contrasts with the ordinary Platinum card, which is about $1,450 per year. Obviously, those fees are subject to change over time. However, that's what they are at the moment. So the Platinum Edge card is definitely significantly cheaper than the ordinary Platinum card. It's about 1/7 of the annual cost. In terms of the interest that you'll accrue, there's 55 interest-free days, meaning you start accruing interest 55 days after your purchase. The interest rate that is applicable at the moment is 20.74%. Again, that is subject to change. It's going to be nearly 10 times the interest rate on a home loan. That is not surprising, because credit cards are much more risky for credit providers than are home loans. But what it does imply is you shouldn't rack up debt and fail to pay it off, because you're going to end up paying a lot of interest on this card. So you should be financially prudent. And that's the case with all credit cards, but you do need to bear it in mind here. Now, in return for this cost of $195 a year, you do get some bonuses. The most important of which is that you get $200 a year of travel credit. Now, that amount of travel credit can vary a little bit over time, and it has historically varied a little bit. But the $200 a year limit here has been applicable for a little while now. Now, that $200 of travel credit is redeemable through Amex's travel portal, through which you can book flights, through which you can book hotels, and the like. Now, it won't necessarily give you all options available, but it's definitely going to give you a good smattering of the options that you can get in terms of accommodation and in terms of flights. It's generally reasonable value. Now, even if it were not the best value in the world, you're getting $200 of travel credit. So even if you could have, say, gotten away with spending slightly less externally, you're still actually getting quite a decent amount of your annual fee back in terms of that travel credit. So that automatically means it's going to almost pay for itself if you're going to be traveling anywhere. And to be honest, I would go through $200 of travel credit a year, so it's not terrible. The main thing here is you have to remember to actually use the travel credit as opposed to just putting it on your credit card, which is easy to do and you just forget you have the travel credit and then you kind of get to the end of the year and you haven't used it. So you have to remember to actually use it in order to accrue it. And it's not going to be carried over year to year. So that's the first important bonus. In terms of other bonuses, there aren't really that many bonuses. You're going to get a sign-up bonus, of course, but the sign-up bonus is relatively small compared to other cards. That, to some extent, is consistent with effectively it being a cheap card. Your sign-up bonus at the moment is effectively you get $150 back if you spend $1,500 or more in the first 3 months of having the card. The sign-up bonus varies over time, though. So obviously that could change. It could become points at one time. Whatever the sign-up bonus is, it can vary as and when Amex deems it to vary. So that's just the sign-up bonus at the moment. So it's effectively 10% back on that $1,500 purchase. It's obviously not going to be a major benefit compared to some of the other sign-up bonuses, but it's better than nothing. And in the first year, you've almost paid for your annual fee anyway, just in terms of that sign-up bonus. Even if you just use the card for bills and the like, you'll get the sign-up bonus. So in that first year, you will have more than made up for your annual fee in the form of the sign-up bonus and in the form of the travel credit. Obviously, it's not necessarily prudent to set up a card, then just cancel it, and set up and cancel. You might have an impact on your credit rating from doing this. However, that can still be a strategy for people who are very careful with it. And like I said, in the first year, you'll make it up. Now, in terms of the number of points you get here, the points have two real aspects to it. Obviously, point accrual and then point expenditure. In terms of point accrual, it's not terrible. And as far as Amex cards go, it's perfectly adequate. You get 3 points per dollar at supermarkets, 2 points per dollar on foreign exchange expenditure, and then 1 point per dollar on everything else. So it's relatively standard. The real question is, what can you use points on? Because you can get as many points in the world, but if they're not really valuable, then who cares? Now, one of the best ways to judge this is by looking at how those points convert into airline miles, because airline miles are often one of the most efficient ways to use airline points. And they're a good way of comparing point schemes between credit cards. So if you look at the points on this card, it generally is going to take you about 2 Amex points to get 1 airline mile on airlines like Singapore or through programs like the Velocity Frequent Flyer program. The main downside of the points here is there are relatively few airline partners. And given that it's an Australian card, the lack of Qantas as an airline partner here is to some extent a disadvantage. So if you only fly Qantas, this card might not help you very much. And there are other options that might be more suited to you. However, if you're flying Virgin or if you're flying Singapore, then this is perfectly fine in terms of point accrual and is relatively commensurate with other cards. It's not the best in the world, but it's certainly not the worst in the world, and it's generally reasonably adequate, particularly when you take account of the cost per year and the other benefits that accrue. In terms of other bonuses, there aren't that many other bonuses really. You get travel insurance, you sort of get a degree of Amex concierge for booking things, but it's certainly nowhere near as good as with the higher end cards. But the higher end cards cost a lot more. The travel insurance on credit cards is notoriously terrible. Amex is not necessarily any worse than other cards, it's just that it's not as good as ordinary travel insurance, which itself is generally not very good at all. So the travel insurance is there, but I wouldn't be relying on it to really save you in the event of a downturn, and you're probably going to want other travel insurance as well in an ideal world. In terms of other benefits, there are some other unspoken benefits associated with cards like this. In particular, Amex is particularly good at dealing with disputes with merchants who have failed to provide the goods that you have requested. Amex is extremely good at dealing with those, and Amex is very much likely to take your side in a dispute with a dodgy merchant that you need Amex to deal with. So that is a huge advantage when dealing with this card that is common across all of the Amex cards. So this then begs the question of, why have I had this card for, it has to be like 5+ years? And the reason for that is essentially, it's $195 a year, and I get $200 of travel credit, and I would spend $200 of travel, so therefore it effectively pays for itself each year. And I don't even necessarily spend very much on this card because of that interest rate and the fact that I might forget to pay it off because I might just be absent-minded. And I don't necessarily use it that much, but I get enough value back for it to be worthwhile. And the points are also useful because I would generally be flying Singapore or flying Virgin. Subject to Virgin emerging from bankruptcy at any rate. So the points for me are also useful in that respect. And I generally do not fly Qantas because Qantas annoys me quite a bit whenever I've traveled with them. But of course, that's subject to personal preference. So in general terms, I'm satisfied with the Amex Platinum Edge card. I think it's a perfectly adequate choice, but there are some downsides in terms of the interest rate. But there are some bonuses and upsides that make up for the annual fee and make it a decently cost-effective option if you're looking for a credit card. So I hope this video has been somewhat useful to you, maybe vaguely informative. If it has, it would be great if you click the like and subscribe buttons. And if you have any credit card recommendations, drop those in the comments below. In any case, thanks so much for listening in, and I hope to see you for future videos. Bye.